while Hillary dances under the Florida raindrops. But will it rain on her parade on Tuesday? Late-breaking news on the changing electoral map. Plus, Donald Trump Jr. headlines an all-star lineup joining me tonight. Then,
if he doesn't win, what are you going to do?
Throw up in a bomb, he said.
The faithful gather at Trump Tower, where I dole out the last street justice of election 2016.
I've heard men say they're actually going to get a box of tissues and cry their eyes out.
Possibly.
Keep the faith. Justice starts now.
Breaking tonight, Donald Trump hits 4 key states in one day as one of the most important races in our lifetime reaches the home stretch. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us. Donald Trump spending this final Saturday before Election Day in Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, and Colorado, while Hillary Clinton ran into some rain in the critical Sunshine State today before a campaign event tonight with pop star Katy Perry in Pennsylvania. Here are both candidates at stops within the past hour.
When your kids and grandkids ask you what you did in 2016, when it was all on the line, I want you to be able to say, I voted for a better, fairer, stronger America where everybody has a chance at the American dream.
We didn't bring any so-called stars along. We didn't need them. You know, the reason Hillary has to do that is nobody comes for her deal. She can't fill a room. We can get stars. We don't need them because we just want to make America great again, and we know what to do.
We have a packed lineup on deck tonight, including Donald Trump Jr. just minutes away. But before he makes his closing argument, I want you to hear my opening statement. This is the most important election of your lifetime. And whether you like Hillary Rodham Clinton or Donald J. Trump doesn't matter. There is only one person you can vote for. We cannot have a country led by a president subject to ongoing criminal investigations, potential indictment, and never-ending hearings. We cannot have a president under that level of scrutiny that inevitably leads to even more questions and more investigations. And irrespective of what happens to her, whether she's indicted or even guilty, it doesn't matter. Her guilt is a moot point. She cannot take the Oval Office. Now, in any other business, when the head of a corporation is plagued by scandal, that person steps down and is replaced because the board knows a business cannot succeed without respect and authority. How do you think the world is going to look at the United States when a woman under federal criminal investigation who's lied repeatedly to the American people is elected? Do you think they'll take her at her word? How many countries already own her through the Clinton Family Charitable Foundation, which was used to raise a minimum of $100 million just for her husband, Bill? How many countries like Morocco own her because they gave $12 million for 5 minutes with Bill? Just think. We can have our own world joke, like Bunga Bunga Prime Minister Berlusconi under constant investigation while in office and then sentenced to prison. Why, when just this week we are faced with threats of a cyber attack on Election Day, not to mention the constant threat of another terror attack on U.S. soil, when Obamacare premiums in some states are higher than mortgages? Would we put someone in the job who is distracted and not focused, not to mention a little woozy? We need a commander-in-chief focused on daily briefings, not one who, along with her staff, is worried about her and her spouse's investigation and what leverage can be used to shut that investigation down, worried about what vulnerabilities they have or whether they are being blackmailed or extorted. The only winners there are the blackmailers and the president. We are the pawns in a case like that. You and I are the ones who would pay the price. Now, I don't know how old you are, but I personally can't take another chapter of Clinton scandals. The Rose Law Firm, Cattle Futures, Travelgate, Monica Gate, the McDougalls, a husband and a wife, both of whom would rather go to jail than testify against the Clintons, and people dying of all kinds of things along the way. Impeachment. And folks, I haven't even gotten to the 21st century. The woman has a propensity to lie about anything and to forget virtually everything. It's hogwash that 20% of our uranium is sold to the Russians, thanks to the Clintons. Our Department of Justice has already been corrupted by Bill Clinton, and now brazenly, the target of that criminal investigation, Hillary, announces that she'll keep Loretta Lynch as her AG should she become president. And if you are tired of this cesspool of corruptibles and visits from the ghosts of the Clintons' past, then you simply don't have a choice. She is a woman guilty of bad judgment over and over. What makes you think her judgment is going to get better, or that she's going to work for you, or even think about you with the sword of justice at her throat? Guilty or not guilty, she is a woman who is neither capable nor worthy of leading our great nation. And if you think it's time we hire a person for the Oval Office who is proud of America, who believes in law and order, who believes that our vets take priority over illegal immigrants, that open borders present a danger to us, that it's time to make fair trade deals, who sees us as a sovereign nation, who is proud of us and our American history, who will work on making us rich instead of herself or her family, then it's time to vote for the person who believes in the Constitution, the only one who will bring change, who is willing to roll up his sleeves, who will put in the time, has both the energy and the clarity, the one who doesn't give a darn about political correctness, the one who knows how to create jobs, and yes, the one who wants to make America great again. You've got 72 hours. It's up to you. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, hashtag Judge Jeanine. And joining me now is the Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization and the son of Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump Jr. How are you?
I'm doing great. After that, I just want to drop mics for you. That's pretty powerful, Jeanine. I'm impressed. Wow.
Well, I have to tell you, you know that I believe in your dad. I believe in you guys. I know you, and all of my listeners know that it's not just a friendship. I believe that your father has the capacity, and I think an important word that nobody talks about is the clarity, that 100%. He understands what's going on. Okay, let's talk about where we are. Yep. 72 hours. What does your dad have to do? Is he going to win Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, and Colorado?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The map has changed a lot in the last few days. I mean, there's a lot of states that are in play that were never supposed to be in play. I mean, we're tied up in Colorado. You know, he's going to Michigan. That hasn't gone, you know, for us in a long, long time. He's going back up to Minnesota. He's going into states, you know, so the map has changed. There are states that we no longer maybe have to win if we can pull off
I'm going to interrupt you. Donald, we're going live to your dad. Apparently there was a ruckus. Where is he now? He's in Reno, Nevada. There was a ruckus. Did they rush him off the stage? Secret Service just rushed him off the stage. But he's back in pure Donald form. Let's listen.
They're repealing the defense sequester. Right now, it doesn't sound that exciting, but it's very important because we're going to rebuild our badly depleted military. That means brand new modern aircraft for Nerville Air Station. And you know what I'm talking. Fallon, who's Fallon? Any? Not far from here, the Naval Air Station. We have aircraft that's 18 and 20 years old. We have aircraft much older than that. We can't even buy parts to some of our aircraft. They're so old, they don't make the parts anymore. I'm honored to have the endorsement of more than 200 top admirals and generals and 22 Medal of Honor recipients. Now see those Medal of Honor recipients?
What we're hearing now is that some people were taken out of that forum by the Secret Service, and your father was rushed off, and he's back on the stage and back to message within moments.
That's what he is. Listen.
Oh, look, there he is being rushed off. But he is safe, as you can see a moment ago, and back on the stage, back on message. All right, so, all right, your reaction to that, Donald?
Well, listen, you know, it's interesting. You see it. That's the tolerant left, right? That's the same people probably that were getting paid to go incite violence at our rallies from the Democrats. I mean, that's pretty good, you know. A lot of people will go throw some punches for $1,500, especially the crazy people that the other side was hiring. So, but that's really what we're up against. You know, if this was candidate to candidate, policy to policy, track record to track record, this would have been over a long time again. But we're up against a very corrupt, very big machine. These are power players. This is how they've gotten rich. The Clintons are worth up to $250 million. Doing what? Peddling American influence, selling out America. That's what got them there. They haven't created a job. They never built anything. They didn't do any of those things. But that's what we're up against. And so if it was a fair fight, it would have been over a long time ago. But it's not a fair fight. And I think the American people are starting to see that. We always knew. But now we're seeing it in the emails. You're seeing it in the O'Keefe tapes. You're seeing it day after day after. I mean, it never ends. It's like you're watching a movie about a banana republic, but it's actually happening here in America. And I think the American people are sick of it. You know, and honestly, that's a bipartisan problem. Both sides and the elite have done this and gotten us in this mess.
And you know what? Your father saw it in the primary, and he was able to bust through it. Yeah. But I think that the thing that's so disappointing is that when we actually see it in the emails, like the Democrats saying, what are we going to do? POTUS, President of the United States, said he didn't know anything about a private server. What are we going to do when he was already emailing with her? I mean, this is frightening stuff. Are you disappointed?
I'm actually, listen, it's hard not to be, all right? I'm an American. I'm a patriot. I believe in what they're doing. And we are literally running up against the most corrupt candidate in the history of the presidency. Okay? There's no, I can't even name, I can't come close to
there isn't.
The scandal after scandal, you listed them, and you're right. That wasn't even the 21st century.
Yeah, we didn't even
that was
get
just
to
the
2000.
90s and prior. You know, and so what are we saying to not only other politicians, but our children? Are we saying that kind of behavior is okay in government? You know, when the elites in Wall Street, when the elites on both sides of the political spectrum, when the media elites, when they're all up against you, guess what? You're probably doing something right.
Exactly.
It means you're fighting for the people that haven't done so well, because those guys have all done really well over the last few decades, whereas the average American hasn't had an effective pay raise in 20 years. My father's willing to take on that system. He's willing to step away from a pretty good life.
Yeah.
You've seen it. He could do whatever he wants.
He doesn't need to do this.
He doesn't need to do this, you know, and I get criticized for saying that, but he wants to do it because he wants to ensure that our kids and grandkids have the opportunity to live the American dream.
I want to get in two more questions. Why is Obama so invested in Hillary winning? And I don't want to hear, oh, his legacy. No, he's already got a legacy.
Well, listen, everyone knows that they don't like each other. I mean, I can't figure out, presumably because they want to, you know, impose some sort of different rule of law in America. I mean, these are not people that believe in the Constitution. These are, you see,
or that, law and order, or the military.
You see Hillary talking about, you know, the Supreme Court justices she wants to put in. She disagrees with the Heller decision that people could have a firearm in their home to protect themselves. You know, that's what this is. This isn't a 4 or 8 year election. It's a 40-year election. You lose this, you lose the court, you lose all those decisions, you plant those liberal activist judges there, and you have a very different America. You have a very different America for our kids to grow up in, and it's not one that you can recover, because once that mentality and sort of that, everything, government's always there to do something, and government has to be in every aspect of your life, look at what government's gotten us. Whether it be the Obamacare premiums going through the roof, that's no longer affordable health care, okay? Not to mention your $9,000 deductible, right? So unless you get hit by a bus, you don't have insurance, okay? But it's failed promise after failed promise. Giving $150 billion to Iran. Think of what we could have done with that. Well, think of what we could have done in the VA system with that, or in our education system with that. It's crazy.
Running out of time. Donald Trump Jr., I could tell your whole family has incredible energy.
Well, listen, we're passionate about it because we love this country and we want to see it go on the right path. There's a lot at stake here, and it's not so simple to just say, what we're hearing about. These guys have failed us time and time again. What's different about this batch?
Donald Trump Jr., thanks so much. And just to update you again, Donald Trump is speaking live before a crowd in Reno, Nevada. He was just rushed off that same stage just a few minutes ago after a fracas broke out in the crowd. Few people were taken away by the Secret Service. Mr. Trump has returned to the stage a few minutes later and is obviously fine and being Donald Trump. Joining me now is former Defense Intelligence Agency Director and Mr. Trump's senior advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. General, great to have you back on the show tonight. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, General. It's so good to have you back. Listen, I'm sure you heard what we just talked about, Donald Trump being rushed off the stage. Yeah. The left is at it again. They're so tolerant, and yet they make sure that they...
let me just say something. Let me say something about that, Justice, because I'll tell you what. The Secret Service would not want to have him come back up on the stage, honestly, after something like that. I know that.
Right.
And I know that with the guys that are around him because they deeply, they respect him, they love him, and they would not want him to come up after an incident like that.
Right.
So that just shows you that the resilience, the toughness, the leader that we have in Donald Trump to get back up on that stage and continue to get his message across to the American public at such a critical time. I mean, something like that is not a minor incident. This is a big, big deal. The Secret Service would not want him to come back up, and that shows you his toughness and his desire to not, be pushed down like some of these people are doing.
General,
exactly.
He's not backing off. All right. There's no doubt about it, but I want to ask you a couple things. Look, you were appointed by President Barack Obama as the twice director of National Intelligence Agency, as well as what's the other agency?
Well, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and also as the Assistant Director for National Intelligence.
Okay, so at some point there is a separation of ways, and it pretty much is right after Obama says that ISIS is the JV team. The following month, you come out and you say to Congress, they are going to be one of the most dangerous terrorist organizations, and the marriage is over at that point. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, ISIS, as we've seen, they have been expanding ever since we unplugged out of Iraq in 2011. When we achieved victory through really up through 2011, and then this president and Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of State, who could not, cut the deal at that time with Iraq, and we decided to unplug, it left such a vacuum, and it created the rise of ISIS, and we're in the middle of it right now. And ISIS, as it stands today, is in about 32 countries, probably more than that. They have already threatened our election, and they're talking about conducting attacks in this country, possibly in I think it's 2 or 3 states right now.
All right.
So it's just crazy.
All of this happens under Obama and under Hillary, and Hillary's going to continue the Obama policies. Yeah. But Hillary says the one thing she's going to do now is she's going to have an intelligence surge. That's her way to fight ISIS now. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that means. I mean, here's what it really comes down to. And frankly, Hillary Clinton, and I can tell you that the one thing, rather than really talking about her, what Donald Trump would bring to our foreign policy and our foreign partners, our allies and friends around the world, is a much stronger relationship. I'm telling you, Judge, that I have spoken to many leaders around the world, both in Asia, in the Asia-Pacific theater, as well as in the Middle East and Europe. And they all look forward to working with Donald Trump because they just do not trust Hillary Clinton, and they do not see her for somebody who is trustworthy. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. And with respect to Donald Trump, I mean, they see him as a guy, what? Why do they see Donald Trump?
Well, because he's very straightforward. What you see is what you get. He is somebody who is honest when it comes to, to dealing with leaders. I mean, he is a leader that they can respect. He is someone who has gained an awful lot of respect in the year and a half that he's been involved in this political, campaign that he's been a part of. And I think what they see is they see somebody who demonstrates extraordinary leadership skills, who they're going to be looking up to, and they're going to be looking forward to working with the United States of America, where we have dumped allies and friends under this administration, to include Hillary Clinton, around the world, and they have no idea, Judge, what our current situation, what we are. They're so uncertain about our policies and what we stand for.
All right, General Michael Flynn, thanks so much for being with us tonight. And Governor Mike Huckabee is still ahead tonight. And next, a late-breaking look at the